Hi, I'm Giovanni Alvarado, and the topic that I chose is transgender women, specifically focusing on Amaya Scott and the influence that she has had on the entertainment industry and beauty industry as well. I chose this topic because I have an extremely close friend whose name is Taji, and she is a transgender woman. And I didn't know much about transgender women or transgender people in general until I met Taji, and that's just something that became of importance to me. I just wanted to be able to know more about her and more about some of the things that she may have gone through and a little bit more about the transgender lifestyle. What I already knew about this topic was that someone who is transgender, by definition, is someone who was born, let's say, for example, a male, um, but in their heart, their mind, their soul, they wholeheartedly believe that they were meant to be a female. That will make that person transgender. It's a person who identifies with the sex opposite of the one that they were born with. Um, I'm not too sure what I believed about transgender people. I didn't know much about them prior to meeting Taji, prior to getting to know her. I was a bit afraid of transgender people just because I didn't understand transgender people. I didn't understand their choices. I didn't understand their lifestyle. And I was just unaware. And what I wanted to find out was what are some of the things that they go through, some of the social issues that they face, and I just wanted to be full on knowledgeable behind everything about transgender women, and the different types of transgender people, why people decide to transition. Does every transgender person decide to transition or not? Those were some of the things that I wanted to find out in my research.
Have any regrets on your decisions, or what advice would you have to give someone who was once in your shoes? No, I don't have any regrets. When I made this choice, I knew what I wanted to do, and especially with the point that I'm at now, it's like I'm starting to see kind of benefits from the hard work that I, you know what I mean, put in. Things are not just okay. Like, it's not too many people who can make this decision and it's just accepted. And I'm not saying that I'm exempt, but I put the time in. It's cold. Okay. I put the time in. I feel, and people could see like my hard work. Like, people respect me because I don't mislead people, and it's not like I'm not out here trying to trick anyone. I'm just trying to live my life. So do I regret it? No, not at all. I believe that it was one of the best choices that I've ever made in life. And just advice that I would have to anybody who's going through this would just to follow your heart. Like, don't do it for the glitz and the glam, and don't do it because you want to be beautiful. Like, do it because that's your burning desire and that's what's in your heart.
So I did various types of research. Some of my research including reading the transgender phenomenon, which was really insightful. It has like a lot of personal references. It gives a lot of background information as well as to the entire transgenderism aspect. And I also read a book called Transgender Voices, which are like different stories, personal stories, again, personal references of women, both transgender women and men, who have decided to make a full transition from their prior sex to their new and desired sex, also including the full sex change. And this book was called Transgender Voices Beyond Women and Men. What I found out in my research is that there are various types of transgender women, or transgender people, I should say. There's drag queens and cross-dressers. So drag queens are men who dress as women and they put on certain characters, and they play these characters. Usually men playing women are considered drag queens. There's cross-dressers. There's women who dress like men. We typically call them tomboys. Not all tomboys are transgender, but a lot of them do identify more with the male gender than the female gender. I also found out that there is more than one gender. We tend to think that if you are born with a penis, then you are a male, and if you are born with a vagina, then you are a female. But then there's also this thing called intersex, which was previously known as hermaphrodite or hermaphroditism. And there are true hermaphrodites, which are either a male or female born with both outer sexual reproductive parts. One is usually more prominent than the other. And then there are hermaphrodites, which are either a male or female, usually male, born with a male sexual body part, but has both internal sex organs, but is not allowed to reproduce. And that takes us into a third gender, which is the undisclosed or undefined gender. I found out that most people who are transgender or diagnosed intersex or transgender usually know at a very young age that they are not the sex that they were supposed to be, or usually feel strongly about being the opposite sex than what they were born.
Races, there's consistently an erasure of trans identity when we have these discussions. The reason I'm here is because whenever we have these discussions, trans people's voices, trans women's voices specifically, are not included in these discussions. And the stigmatizing, I've been single most of the time. I've been in New York most of the time since I've started transitioning 15 years ago. And I date men. And this extent to which men who date us or are attracted to us are stigmatized is so intense that most of these men feel like they can never tell anyone, can never be out about about it. And Janet wrote in her piece today so brilliantly is that men are attracted to women. And so often when a man is found to be in a relationship or attracted to a trans woman, it's the misgendering and it's the denial of our womanhood that we see happening there. And that kind of stigma leads to violence against trans women. That kind of stigma leads to us not being able to get a job. That stigma leads to us not being able to get health care, housing. And it really is a state of emergency.
There are various status quos when it comes to transgender women. The one that I chose to focus on, which is the biggest one of them all, the one that I feel strongly about, that I disagree with the most, is that all transgender women are still men. And there is definitely a lot wrong with that status quo. Once a man decides to transition, he has to consult with a physician. Transitioning from male to female isn't something that just happens. A physician wouldn't just lay you down on the table, take a knife, and do an inversion. Men who choose to do the entire sex change have to begin taking hormones, and the hormones, start breaking your body down. They also have to take blockers, which will start blocking the testosterone. So the body starts to develop more as the woman's body as opposed to a male form. There's also a lot of legal things that go into that. After a certain stage in transitioning legally, a transgender woman can enter women's restroom whether or not she has had the sex change operation yet. Legally changing your name, your sex is changed on your birth certificate, on your social security number changes, your ID changes. There's a lot of legal and medical and technical, physical, mental, emotional. There's a lot that goes into it. Transgender women are just that. They are women. Again, they have always felt this way. This isn't something new to them. It's not just them saying, I was meant to be a girl, I was supposed to be a girl, I am a girl, I'm not in the right body. It actually went from being I am not in the right body to I have taken the steps to be in the body that I'm supposed to be. I am taking the steps to develop to be the woman that I'm supposed to be. And that's what's wrong with the status quo. People also believe that, if a man is attracted to a transgender woman, that he is gay. No, a transgender woman has the body form of a woman. Yes, there are some transgender women who may still have a lot of masculine features, but you also have to take into consideration the amount of time that they've been hormoning. The longer that they hormone, the more and more their body will begin to develop as a woman. It's just like a biological woman. It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that takes time. It takes time to develop into your womanly shape, into your womanly form. As well, all the surgeries and things that they undergo to make sure that they perfect themselves to be the beautiful women that they